The return. The void between stars had been Commander Zix Theta's home for 30,000 years. Through the crystalline viewport of the expedition vessel Eternal Wanderer, she watched the familiar blue-green sphere of Earth grow larger with each passing hour. Her tentacles rippled with anticipation as decades of deep space exploration finally drew to a close. "Navigation confirms our position," announced her second-in-command, Velorn, his bioluminescent patches flashing in measured patterns. "We have arrived at the Sol system, precisely on schedule." Zix Theta's primary eyes focused on the tactical display while her secondary set scanned the surrounding space. Something felt wrong. The mothership's stellar cradle should have been visible by now, its massive bulk impossible to miss against the cosmic backdrop. That ship had been their anchor, their promise of return, left in Earth's orbit when their expedition launched 30 millennia ago. "Initiate deep scan protocols," she commanded, her voice carrying through the ship's bioacoustic channels. "Locate the stellar cradle." Minutes stretched into hours as the expedition vessel's sensors swept through space. The crew of 12 Zelethi scientists and explorers gathered on the bridge, their collective unease growing palpable. The mothership was nowhere to be found. "Commander," Veltorn's voice trembled. "I'm detecting no trace of the stellar cradle. No debris field, no energy signatures, no beacon. It's as if it never existed," Zix Theta finished, her tentacles curling in confusion. The stellar cradle had been their civilization's greatest achievement. A city-sized vessel capable of sustaining 10,000 lives indefinitely. It couldn't simply vanish. She turned her attention to Earth itself. When they'd departed, the planet had been home to primitive hunter-gatherers, barely capable of creating fire. The Zelethi had established their orbital station as a research post, planning to return and guide these creatures toward civilization. "Focus all sensors on the planetary surface," she ordered. Perhaps some catastrophe forced the stellar cradle to land. What the sensors revealed defied comprehension. The planet blazed with artificial light, its night side glowing with the unmistakable signs of advanced civilization. Massive structures reached toward the heavens, electromagnetic signals filled the spectrum, and thousands of artificial satellites crowded the orbital paths. "This is impossible," whispered Kexmal, the expedition's lead xenobiologist. The humans were millennia away from such development. Even with optimal progression, they shouldn't have achieved spaceflight for another 50,000 years. Zix Theta's mind raced through possibilities. Had another species claimed Earth? Had the timeline calculations been wrong? Or had something unprecedented occurred during their absence? "Commander," the communication specialist's excited clicks drew everyone's attention. "I'm receiving structured transmissions from the surface. Multiple languages, but one appears dominant. And Commander, they're trying to contact us." The bridge fell silent. The transmissions were indeed directed at their vessel, broadcast in dozens of languages and mathematical sequences. Most shocking of all, one transmission used a simplified version of ancient Zelethi communication protocols that should have been extinct. "They know we're here," Zix Theta realized. "And somehow, they know who we are." She made her decision swiftly. "Prepare for atmospheric entry. We're going down." The Eternal Wanderer descended through Earth's atmosphere, its hull adjusting to the planet's changed composition. The air contained more pollutants than their records showed, evidence of industrial development on a massive scale. As they broke through the clouded layer, the full extent of humanity's transformation became apparent. Cities sprawled across continents like glowing webs, connected by networks of roads and rails. Aircraft filled the skies, and the oceans bore vessels larger than anything the Zelethi had imagined humans could build. Most remarkably, a space station orbited above, clearly of human construction. "Incoming vessels," Veltorn announced. 3 aircraft approaching our position. They're maintaining formation." "It's an escort, Commander." Zix Theta studied the approaching craft. They were primitive by Zelethi standards, but showed sophisticated aerodynamic design. More importantly, they made no aggressive moves, instead taking positions around the Eternal Wanderer like an honor guard. The lead aircraft transmitted coordinates, a landing site prepared specifically for them. As they descended toward what appeared to be a major population center, Zix Theta noticed something extraordinary. The humans had cleared a vast area, marking it with symbols that roughly translated to welcome in ancient Zelathi script. They knew, somehow, impossibly, the humans knew the Zelathi would return. The landing was smooth, the Eternal Wanderer settling onto the designated platform with practiced ease. Through the viewports, the crew could see thousands of humans gathered at a safe distance, held back by barriers. Military vehicles formed a perimeter, but their weapons remained lowered. "Atmospheric analysis complete," reported the environmental officer. "We can survive outside with minimal filtration. The humans appear to be waiting for us to emerge." Zix Theta straightened to her full 3-meter height, her iridescent skin shifting to display patterns of peaceful intent. "Prepare the translation matrices. We're about to make history." Again. The main hatch opened with a whisper of equalizing pressure. Zix Theta led her crew down the ramp, each member displaying neutral coloration to avoid any misinterpretation. The crowd of humans fell silent at their appearance. A small group of humans approached, led by an elderly female with silver hair and piercing eyes. She wore formal attire and carried herself with unmistakable authority. Behind her walked scientists, military officials, and what appeared to be historians. The woman stopped precisely 3 meters away, the exact distance specified in ancient Zelathi greeting protocols. When she spoke, her words were clear and measured. "Commander Zix Theta of the Zelathi Expedition Force," she said, and the universal translator barely needed to work. She was speaking accented but recognizable Zelathi. "I am Director Sarah Chen of the United Earth Council. We have been expecting you." Zix Theta's tentacles quivered with shock. You speak our language. How is this possible?" Director Chen smiled, a gesture Zix Theta recognized from the ancient human studies. "We've had 30,000 years to prepare, Commander. Your people left us more than just memories. They left us a legacy." "The stellar cradle," Zix Theta breathed. "What happened to our mothership?" "That," Director Chen replied, "is a long story, one that begins with a choice your people made before departing. A choice that changed the destiny of 2 species forever." The wind carried the scent of the transformed earth, heavy with the marks of progress and time. Somewhere in this world of steel and glass lay the answers to the greatest mystery of Zix Theta's life. The stellar cradle was gone, but its fate had intertwined with humanity's rise in ways she could not yet imagine. "Come." Director Chen extended her hand, a gesture of trust that transcended species. "Let us show you what became of your legacy and how humanity rose to meet the stars." Zix Theta reached out with a primary tentacle, accepting the offered hand. The texture was strange, warm and soft compared to Zelathi skin, but the grip was firm with purpose. As their limbs joined, she felt the weight of 30 millennia lifting. Behind them, the Eternal Wanderer powered down its engines. Its journey was complete, but a greater adventure was just beginning. The Zelathi had returned to find not the primitive world they'd left behind, but a species that had exceeded their wildest projections. The stars witnessed this moment. 2 civilizations reunited across an ocean of time, standing on the threshold of shared destiny. Whatever had happened to the stellar cradle, one truth was clear. Humanity had not merely survived in the Zelathi's absence. They had thrived. Part 2. The Truth Unveiled. The United Earth Council headquarters stood as a testament to human architectural achievement, a spire of glass and steel that reached toward the heavens. As Director Chen led the Zelathi delegation through its corridors, Zix Theta observed the seamless blend of function and artistry. Holographic displays showed real-time data from across the planet, while artwork from every human culture adorned the walls. "Your species has progressed remarkably," Zix Theta commented, her secondary eyes tracking the constant flow of humans moving with purpose through the building. Our projections suggested you would remain in agricultural societies for at least another 20,000 years. Director Chen's expression carried both pride and something deeper, a knowledge yet unshared. We had help, Commander, though perhaps not in the way you might expect. They entered a vast chamber where the full United Earth Council awaited. Representatives from every major nation and culture had gathered, their faces reflecting the diversity humanity had maintained despite its technological unity. At the room's center stood a massive holographic projector, currently dormant. Before we explain what happened to the stellar cradle, Director Chen began. You need to understand what occurred after your expedition departed. Dr. Martinez, if you would. A younger man stepped forward, his hands dancing across a control interface. The holographic projector sparked to life, displaying a timeline that began 30,000 years ago. Zixthida recognized the date, the moment of their departure. When your expedition left, Dr. Martinez explained, the skeleton crew aboard the stellar cradle made a decision that would change everything. They didn't just maintain their orbit and wait. They chose to actively guide humanity's development. The hologram showed the massive mothership descending toward Earth, not to land, but to establish a lower orbit. Small craft deployed from its hull, establishing hidden observation posts across the globe. For the first 5,000 years, they watched and recorded. Martinez continued. They documented our struggles, our triumphs, our gradual spread across the continents. But then something unexpected happened. Humanity began developing faster than anticipated. We started showing signs of advanced problem-solving, complex social structures, and technological innovation that surprised even the Zelethi observers. Zixthida's tentacles curled with interest. The crew chose to intervene. Not directly, Director Chen interjected. They were bound by the non-interference protocols your species held sacred, but they found creative solutions. The hologram shifted, showing ancient human settlements discovering mysterious artifacts. Tools just advanced enough to spark innovation, materials that suggested new possibilities, cave paintings that contained mathematical concepts beyond their time. They seeded our development, Dr. Martinez explained. Never anything that would drastically alter our path, but enough to nurture our potential. They became our unseen mentors, our guardian angels in the stars. But that doesn't explain the stellar cradle's disappearance, Veltorn observed. Even with a skeleton crew, that ship was built to last millions of years. Director Chen nodded gravely. You're right. The ship's disappearance came much later, and it wasn't due to malfunction. It was a choice. The hologram fast-forwarded through millennia of human development. Civilizations rose and fell, but the pace of advancement steadily increased. Then, approximately 5,000 years ago, the display showed something remarkable. Humans beginning to decipher the hidden messages left by the Zelethi. We found the observation posts, Chen explained. By then, we had developed sufficient technology to detect their presence. Instead of fear or hostility, humanity responded with curiosity and gratitude. We realized we hadn't been alone, that someone had been watching over us. The skeleton crew revealed themselves. Zixthida asked, though she suspected the truth was more complex. In a way, Chen's voice grew soft with reverence. They sent a message, a single transmission that explained everything. Who they were, why they had stayed, and what they had sacrificed to help us. You see, Commander, maintaining the stellar cradle for 30,000 years had taken its toll. Systems had degraded, resources had depleted. The crew had a choice. Preserve the ship for your return, or use its resources to ensure humanity's survival during critical periods. The hologram showed the stellar cradle breaking apart, but not in destruction. Its components were carefully separated, repurposed, transformed into something new. They chose us, Chen said simply. They dismantled the stellar cradle to create a network of orbital stations, research facilities, and defensive platforms. They used its technology to protect Earth from asteroid impacts, solar flares, and other cosmic threats that could have ended our civilization before it truly began. Kexmal, the xenobiologist, spoke for the first time since landing. The crew, what happened to them? Dr. Martinez adjusted the display, showing a monument in what appeared to be a vast museum. They lived among us for their final centuries, teaching and learning in equal measure. When the last of them passed, we built this memorial to honor their sacrifice. Every human child learns their names, their stories. They became part of our history, our mythology, our inspiration to reach for the stars. Zix Theta felt a complex mixture of emotions: grief for the lost ship, pride for her people's sacrifice, and amazement at humanity's response. They gave up everything for a species not their own. They gave us a gift beyond measure, Director Chen agreed. But they also left us with a responsibility. They told us of your expedition, of your planned return. For 5,000 years, we've prepared for this moment. The hologram changed once more, displaying current human technology. Ships capable of interstellar travel, colonies on nearby worlds, a civilization that had not merely reached the stars but begun to explore them. We've kept faith with your people's vision, Chen continued. The stellar cradle may be gone, but its legacy lives on in every human achievement. We've become what your people hoped we could be. Zix Theta moved to the vast window overlooking the city. Millions of humans lived their lives below, each carrying forward the gift the Zelathi had given them. And now we return to find not the primitive world we left, but a sister civilization. More than that, Director Chen joined her at the window. We've maintained the Zelathi language, studied your culture from the records left behind, prepared for your return. We have questions about the galaxy, about other civilizations, about the threats and wonders that await. But we also have something to offer in return. What could humanity offer the Zelathi? Veltorn asked, though his tone suggested growing respect rather than skepticism. Dr. Martinez activated a final holographic display. It showed technical schematics of incredible complexity, designs that incorporated both human innovation and Zelathi principles. We've continued developing the technology your people shared, he explained. But we've also added our own discoveries, our unique perspectives. Human creativity combined with Zelathi knowledge has produced advancements neither species could have achieved alone. Director Chen turned to face Zix Theta directly. Commander, the stellar cradle is gone, but something greater has taken its place. We propose an alliance, not as patron and protege, but as equals. Together, we can build new ships, explore new frontiers, and face whatever challenges the universe holds. Zix Theta felt the weight of decision. She had expected to find the stellar cradle waiting, ready to complete their mission and return home. Instead, she found something unprecedented. A young civilization ready to join the galactic community, shaped by Zelathi wisdom, but uniquely human in its ambitions. I need to consult with my crew, she said finally. This changes everything we planned. Of course, Director Chen nodded. Take all the time you need. But know this, Earth is now your home as much as ours. The Zelathi who stayed made sure of that. As the Zelathi delegation withdrew to consider their options, Zix Theta couldn't shake the feeling that this moment had been orchestrated by forces greater than mere chance. The skeleton crew of the stellar cradle hadn't just made a sacrifice. They had planted seeds for a future grander than any single species could achieve. Hours later, as Earth's sun set over the horizon, Zix Theta returned to the council chamber. Her crew stood united behind her, their bioluminescent patterns showing unanimous agreement. Director Chen, she announced, the Eternal Wanderer expedition accepts your proposal. We came seeking our past, but found our future instead. Let this be the beginning of a new chapter for both our peoples. The room erupted in celebration, human cheers mixing with Zelathi harmonic pulses, as the two species joined in planning their shared destiny. Zix Theta thought of the crew who had stayed behind, who had chosen to nurture humanity rather than preserve a ship. They had understood something profound. True legacy wasn't measured in metal and circuits, but in the lives touched and the futures made possible. The stellar cradle was gone, but its mission, to lift a young species to the stars, had succeeded beyond all imagination. In the days that followed, human and Zelethi engineers worked side by side, designing new vessels that combined the best of both civilizations. The Eternal Wanderer became the template for a new generation of exploration ships, while human creativity suggested improvements the Zelethi had never considered. As the first joint expedition prepared to launch toward distant stars, Six Theta stood once more at the memorial to the Zelethi who had stayed. Their names were carved in both languages, their stories told in word and song. "Your sacrifice was not in vain," she whispered to the monument. "The seeds you planted have grown into a forest that will spread across the galaxy." Behind her, the launch preparations continued. Human and Zelethi crew members worked in harmony, their different strengths complementing each other perfectly. The future stretched before them, vast and full of promise. The stellar cradle had vanished from the cosmos, but its true purpose had been fulfilled. Two species, separated by biology, but united by vision, now stood ready to face the infinite together. As the new expedition ship lifted off, carrying representatives of both civilizations toward unexplored frontiers, Six Theta knew with certainty this was not an ending, but a beginning. The empty space where the stellar cradle once orbited was no longer a loss to mourn, but a symbol of transformation, sacrifice, and the power of choosing hope over safety. The stars awaited, and humanity and Zelethi would meet them as one.